Plus, not only does it keep the insects away, it actually tracks down and kills all the exact same bugs that bit you during the past 4 years. The worst low-budget deal I went to a low-budget hospital, and it was about 10 years ago. I was in a car mishap, and they took me to the hospital. They put me on Demerol for painkiller. You ever get that one, Demerol? That's a drug which actually makes you glad you had the accident. Low-budget hospital. They didn't have good equipment. They didn't even have anything to take my temperature with. The doctor had to use his wife's meat thermometer. I didn't mind taking off all my clothes, but getting into that little pan was a bitch. But these are only the good memories, you understand. These are only the... Hospitals will rip you off. You know where you get ripped off? The snack bar at the movie theater. Large popcorn, please. You want butter? No, just put some of that yellow grease all over it. That'll be fine. Been doing a lot of reading lately. I just read that new anti-self-help book, Your Crummy Life Will Never Change. Have you people noticed in the positive thinking books, they tell you when you're talking to somebody, use a person's name a lot because it makes them feel important. But doesn't everybody in this room know somebody who overdoes that? How you doing, Bob? I haven't talked to you in about 6 months, Bob. Well, that's damn nice of you, Bob. I keep thinking about the guy on the other end. Well, gee, I wonder if my name could be Bob. I think they tell those contestants on Name That Tune to do that. Betty, I can name that tune in one note. Tom, you're a lying son of a bitch. Name that tune. Well, names are interesting. There's Ayatollah Khomeini, but sometimes they just refer to him as the Ayatollah. Is that kind of like the beaver? You know, I read one of those positive thinking books. They said, this is really interesting, I think. In an awkward situation, don't freeze up. Instead, you pay a compliment. It will lessen the tension. I remembered that I'm talking to this guy. His toupee blew onto the sidewalk. Really embarrassing. I said, gee, I like your hair like that. And I've been losing a little hair, you know, and I'm wondering if that trend's going to continue, and how do you tell? And somebody said, well, is your father's father bald? I said, yeah, I think so. He's been dead since 1953, so... And every time I read the paper, I always have to read Dear Abby, and I read this letter every night. It's my favorite Dear Abby letter of all time. Just in case there might be some person who's never read Dear Abby, she writes a column where a lot of morons from around the country who can't solve their own problems, they write in and seek advice on this one central moron. You think a moron knows that's what he's called? If he's watching television and somebody uses that word, does he kind of perk up a little bit? This is from a John Smith. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's kind of a dramatic letter. I'll try to read it dramatically. Dear Abby, I work in a sewer. Because the work is so depressing, I started taking pep pills. I got hooked. My life was a living hell. Then one night, with God's help and all the courage I could muster, I flushed those horrible pills down the toilet once and for all. But the next day, when I went back to work in the sewer, there they were again. Horrible letter. If you saw me on Letterman the last time, I was the In the News comedian. I was doing a lot of topical stuff. For instance, Bob Dylan is now making a movie. He's going to play an aging rock star. Gee, what a stretch. And sodomy has been ruled illegal by the Supreme Court. I think we can all sleep a lot better now. I guess you could be convicted of sodomy and sent to prison, where you could do it some more. Your first day in prison for sodomy, it's like the preliminaries are over, and here comes the main event. And Richard Miller, the convicted spy, he got, 2 life terms plus 50 years plus a $60,000 fine? And he better pay that fine or he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And, of course, crime and violence is the #1 problem. And I do this. I watch the news. If a crime's been committed and the crook gets caught, I think maybe I could do better. Now, kidnapping is a good example. A lot of times with kidnapping, they grab somebody from a prominent family. They ask $500,000. The FBI is called and they get caught. See, what I would do, I would eliminate the FBI because I wouldn't mess around with anybody prominent. I'd kidnap maybe 5,000 ordinary people and demand $6, $7 apiece. The people who didn't laugh are thinking about trying that, too. I'm not a tough person. I was once beaten up by Marvin Hamlish. But one night, I didn't know what to do. There's a big guy at the bar. He's like 6'4", about 240 pounds, bad-mouthing everybody. I lost my temper momentarily. And I went up to the guy, shoved him up against the bar, said, I don't care how big you are. You ever say anything like that in here again, I'm going to bust you right in the mouth. I was really hot. I told him, I said, now you take your guide dog and get out of here. You got to take a stand sometimes. You got to. Now, I got to go in a few minutes, but I do want you to be serious for a second and remind you that happiness does come from the inside. That's why you always feel better after you puke. I know, not very nice. I know. Today was Saturday. I got to watch my favorite program, The Outdoor Sportsman. Boy, if there's anything I can't get enough of, it's televised fishing. What do they just show somebody mowing their lawn? Hey, you want to watch the Super Bowl? Are you kidding? This guy's about to bait his hook.